restarting baseball may seem small in the big picture of what the entire planet is going through right now with COVID-19, but I'm liking this. I'm liking this team aspect about the coronavirus that maybe the rest of the country is ambivalent about, to be honest with you, that people who play a team sport, and I find this in my daily life, Stephen, that people who play a team sport think about others better.
They do.
For some reason. We don't want to let the team down. Andrew Miller, 34-year-old vet Andrew Miller, doesn't want to let all of Major League Baseball down, man. Like, that's heavy that each one of these guys could screw up the entire league's season if they're not disciplined in how they behave away from the ballpark. That's kind of a nice touch. I wish the rest of the country could get this vibe that team sports, as it comes back into trying to function with COVID-19, is getting.
Yeah.
So I want your opinion on that. Go ahead.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit about it later about just baseball, the sanctity of the game, where the traditions come from that a lot of people don't see. Yeah. A lot of people don't even see baseball players as athletes. Yeah. They stand around outside in the outfield for 9 innings. Are you running? What are you doing? Like, you guys are like a big problem with COVID. Because, you know what I mean? Like, put on a mask. Yeah. And hearing what Andrew said, and like even Ian Desmond coming out this week, which was huge. Some real stuff, because man. And I'm not an Ian Desmond guy. I legitimately will buy an Ian Desmond jersey right now, just based on what he said, because it struck a chord with me. Like him going back through his youth and playing sports and looking at his youth complex and how it's overgrown. My youth complex in American Canyon is overgrown right now. Yeah. And I'm a little bit older than Ian, but it seems like it wasn't that long ago that I was playing on those fields. And I think everybody that ever played Little League could probably go back right now to where they played and see these fields in disarray. Yeah. That's a whole other issue. That's that's baseball's issue and coming back. But coming back after COVID, I mean, you got players. Mike Trout doesn't even know if he wants to come back. Buster Posey is on the fence. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Yeah, we're not anywhere out of the woods as far as this pandemic goes. And you still have, I mean, to be honest, we talked, was it the 420 episode? My brain is a little fuzzy for that episode. We're stuck in that moment. But that was the last time, like, you and I and Chris were together talking about baseball. And at that point, they were talking about having games in Arizona and Florida. Right. Well, guess what? Can you name two hotter beds of COVID-19 right now than Arizona and Florida? And the NBA wants to come back in Florida in some kind of a bubble. And in Orlando. Like, seriously, like how can you have a bubble? And Major League Baseball wants to come out and they want to have teams still travel. Yeah. That's the biggest thing to me is you can't travel right now. Yeah. I mean, I went, anybody that listens to the show regularly, like I went to the East Coast and came back. I choked on some chips and thought I was going to get arrested by TSA. I coughed for 10 minutes because I was so nervous about choking on some chicharrones. I was afraid to sneeze in public over the weekend, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. And now you want these major league clubs. I mean, 28-man roster. You add coaches, you add coaching staff. The personnel, you're 50 people easy traveling from place to place. And you want to go to all these other states that maybe aren't taking it as seriously as California is, or maybe taking it more seriously than Arizona or Florida. You can't have these families going back and forth and traveling like that. And these guys, yes, they're well paid. We get it. But they're also people. And they also have grandmothers and parents and children that they care about. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, human life trumps anything as far as money goes, right?
Yeah.
You know, and these guys, they're not superhuman heroes. They're athletes.
Yeah.
And, you know, they are paid well to do what they do. And they need to be respected as much as, you know, our, you know, bank tellers are respected. Our nurses, our doctors should be respected. Yeah. Our teachers should be respected, you know, on the same kind of level. Like, you can't expect these kids that are, you know, 23, 24, 25. Okay, so maybe they won't die. Maybe.
Right.
Is that really like it? Is that where we're at? Maybe you won't die.
We're that stubborn. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on. Maybe.
Yeah. So according to Bob Nightingale over at USA Today, the MLB schedule for 2020 is expected to be released sometime today. Probably shortly after the show's over. Dang it. They always do that to me. Yeah. They're going to let out this 60-game schedule. Teams have been providing some feedback and input before it's officially announced, you know. So, you know, Yankees, Nationals in D.C., Giants, Dodgers in Los Angeles are expected to be the nationally televised games on July 23rd. It's kind of the big kickoff. And then everybody else begins on the 24th. Teams are set to play 40 games against their in-division rivals and then 20 games against the teams from the same region. So NL West versus AL West, exactly, you know, is what's going to be those 20 games.
Yeah.
You mentioned some players on the fence, and one of them is he the face of the Giants? Like, it's Buster Posey, right? Like,
yeah.
If you're picking a face of the Giants, it's Buster Posey. And Buster said, he said, I think there's still some reservation on my end as well. I want to see how things progress over the next couple of weeks. It would be naive or silly not to gauge what's going on around you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Buster Posey, for being a voice of reason right now.
But unexpected too.
Yes, right. Because normally he's just so quiet. Now I'm going to soldier along and play ball. I kind of picture him in that Goldschmidt way in St. Louis, who is very much, dude, I'm just trying to play however I can. I promise to be really specific about only hanging out with my family. And, you know, when he's a 30-something, you kind of expect that from him. Same from Posey. But, you know, he's being real with us about it here.
He's a league MVP.
That's great. Yeah, right? This is a guy who's been this guy who's had multiple Gold Glove and Fielding Award, you know, winners as a catcher. Like, this is a face of the franchise, right?
Yeah.
So you got Aramis Garcia is out after surgery. So you're dealing with Rob Brantley, Tyler Henneman, and then prospect Joey Bart at catcher should Posey choose to opt out. And honestly,
only silver lining.
Like sidebar. If I can have a Joey Bart sidebar to prove my point about why the affiliated umbrella is a little large. And you know what, Steven? We're going to find out who's a real prospect because each team, like for St. Louis, for the Cardinals, at their AA headquarters in Springfield, a franchise they own the Springfield Cardinals, is where they're going to have their camp. The Giants are probably going to use Sacramento as a place to have some extra minor leaguers around. Yeah, to maybe call on. We're going to find out who's a real prospect if you make that 60-man roster. We're going to realize how much the rest of it is just depth and fluff and an old archaic way of doing things with a 40-round draft. You know what I'm saying? So Joey Bart, God, is he the poster child for this? Like, dude rakes at Georgia Tech at age 21 in 2018. Yeah. It's 360 with a 630 slug. Like, come on. In 57 games, 16 dingers. That same year after he gets drafted, of course, the Giants send him to rookie ball. They send him to the Arizona League. 6 games in rookie ball is all he gets before they realize, oh, God, he's way too good for rookie ball. Yeah. Like, Joey Bart and Kyler Murray are the poster childs for why we don't need all these levels in minor league baseball. He goes up to low A the same year he leaves college ball. Joey Bart goes to low A in Oregon, Salem Kaiser, 45 games, hits 300, slug 613. Like, you're telling me this guy needs advanced rookie ball or something? Like,
no.
The next year in 19, he goes to high A San Jose, hits 265, slugs 479 in 57 games. That's just the numbers. Clearly, the people watching him are like, wow, he's way too good for this level. They send him up to Double-A. They send him up to Richmond in Virginia. Yep. Hits 316, slugs 554, like 4 home runs in 22 games. Goes to the Arizona Fall League in 2019. In 10 games, has 4 dingers, hits 333, slugs 767. Like,
Rakes.
These are the poster child. I'm sorry, that's a whole sidebar for why the affiliated minors are too big. Like, you could pick it up at A-ball and be okay, you know?
I've been calling for Joey Bart to be fast-tracked since they drafted him.
Yeah.
Because
some guys don't
why
need
are
all that.
Why are you so stuck in what?
Well, he goes
this
to rookie ball, and then he goes to A, and then that's
these
over.
Years, that years. Mm-hmm. No, that is what's wrong with baseball. Yeah. Is because you have these hot prospects that die.
Yeah.
In A-ball.
And why should they choose baseball, say, over football or basketball?
Where they could get instant money.
Yeah.
Instant money, instant recognition, and I'm going to go die in A-ball.
Yeah.
Like, literally, Joey Bart should be the poster child for why every kid wants to come and play in the majors. Just like when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You went from college to maybe 1 or 2 years, and then you went to the bigs.
Yeah.
That's just how it happened. And I mean, you can speak on this. I mean, you're a Cardinals fan. You've seen it happen through the years. Like,
I just want to say,
come out of high school.
I'm sorry for the Joey Bart sidebar there. My bad, everybody. because it's just real. It's just real. It's real though, Steven. It's real. Yeah.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I feel the same way.
So on the other side of the bay, the A's postponed their first. The A's. I'm sorry. The 97 win Oakland A's. Postponed their first position player workouts at training camp due to not having received results of coronavirus testing for those players. Position players went through intake testing Friday.
Yep.
Results not quite available Saturday due to the holiday. That's fine. It is what it is. I'm not going to be a spoiled American about that.
Sunday, though.
But nonetheless, there's a possibility of the A's having a position player workout if the results came back in time, but they haven't quite been able to do that. That's been a frustration as well, waiting for test results, but that's real life. That's America.
Can I just say the A's would be the only franchise in professional sports that couldn't get a COVID test back on time, because you could literally get the results in 30 minutes.
Except it is happening, I think, due to the quantity. Every franchise is dealing with this a little bit now. Sean Doolittle, former A with the Nationals, was complaining about this, how long it's taking. So it kind of is what it is.
All I got to say is if NBA teams can literally be on the floor and get tested and find out results in 30 minutes, MLB, step your game up. That's such an A's thing. Come on. That's such an A's thing.
So now they're still waiting on tests from Mike Fiers. Like, that's not nobody. They're still waiting on tests for Jesus Luzardo. Like, we're now seeing, okay, so we've got Buster Posey's unsure. Zach Wheeler is unsure. Big addition to the Phillies.
Jesus.
Like he's unsure. We saw Jeff Zimmerman, Nats longtime third baseman, opt out. Ian Desmond opt out. You know, we're seeing a lot of uncertainty. So now for the Pirates, Socrates Brito, Blake Sitterline test positive for the Cardinals.
I think it's Socrates. I think
Socrates. Yes, thank you. Socrates Brito. I like Socrates more, I guess, is what it was. Speaking of which, for the Cardinals, there's a guy named Genesis Cabrera. It looks like Genesis. Pronounced Genesis, the Dominican native.
The cousin to Hennessy.
Yeah. The Cardinal players coming from the Dominican are testing positive. Genesis Cabrera.
Wow.
Genesis is a 97-mile-per-hour throwing lefty.
Yeah.
The Cardinals got back for Tommy Pham. Like, you're expecting
he's
somebody decent back for Tommy Pham,
Yeah.
right? Genesis at 24 makes the Cardinals playoff roster last year. He's the guy that pitches the ninth to close out that Braves series last year in the NLDS. Like, this is a big piece missing. Eloheros Montero, a third baseman, test positive. So now we're waiting on, oh God, Does Carlos Martinez, who came from the Dominican with these guys, test positive? That's either our closer or a main piece of our rotation. That's all he's been in his time as a Cardinal. Freddie Freeman, one of the top 3 first basemen in all of baseball, test positive. And he's maybe not even asymptomatic. Like, he might actually be having symptoms. Like, this is getting real life is bumping into what baseball and all these other sports have in mind. Because you look at the NBA, before I hand it back off to you here, Steven.
Yeah.
The Milwaukee Bucks on Friday closed down their training. They're one of several teams to shut it down because of positive COVID tests. The Nuggets, the Heat, the Clippers, the Nets are all shutting down their facilities right now because of positive tests. Like, aim for your bubble, but you are not in a bubble, sports. You are experiencing the same thing we all are right now.
So my biggest thing is pay attention, people. Like, this is so serious, and it's way bigger than sports. And honestly, if you're that selfish that you want to put other young men's lives in jeopardy for your own good, take a look in the mirror at that point. Yeah. Like, really take a look in the mirror. And my biggest thing is we don't know the lasting effects of COVID yet.
Yeah, that too.
Like, at first, we thought it was attacking the lungs.
Just a big flu. Just an extremely contagious, extremely strong flu, right? Yeah.
But so I'm a competitive swimmer. Like, I grew up swimming. If I breathe in deep, for anybody out there in the medical field, I need 4 chest x-rays to cover both of my lungs, just to give you guys kind of an idea of my lung capacity. Yeah. Now, you attack that with COVID. What does that mean? What does that mean to my lung capacity? Yeah, okay, I'm 38 years old now. I'm not the shape that I was in at, young 20-something. But what's going to happen to me?
Yeah.
Well, now think about an athlete that's in their 20s, that's in like tip-top shape of their life, right? But we don't know what's going to happen to their health. And all these young athletes have families, they have children, they have wives, some of them have babies, and you want to put that in jeopardy so you can watch a freaking sport. Like, get out of here with that.
Like, I feel the athletes' own urge to play and do what they do for a living, but any outside pressure, you're right, Steven. It feels trivial.
Trivial. At the most. Yeah. Trivial.
David Price, the Dodgers' big acquisition. David Price is foregoing $32 million this year, Steven. Mm-hmm. David Price has decided he's not going to play due to the risk of COVID. He is
lightweight, my favorite Dodger.
Sure. He's foregoing $32 million? Like, clearly, he's taking this seriously. DJ LeMahieu tested positive without symptoms. He's asymptomatic, but this is a batting title guy. Like, now with the New York Yankees, we got Zach Wheeler. We've got, let's see, who else is in the mix in this now? Kenley Jansen. If you want to talk about your rivals down south predicted to win this division in a shortened season, which, hey, all fairness to the Dodgers, you deserve that, because the best 60-game stretch in recent Major League history is the 2017 Dodgers going 51-9 in a 60-game stretch.
Sorry.
But Kenley Jansen has not yet cleared yet. He has not yet been cleared to play. So he's on the outside looking in. Like, these are not Punch and Judy hitters.
Not small names.
And no-name guys. Like, so right now the Phillies are keeping Aaron Nola out of the mix. Like, wow, okay. Right-hander Aaron Nola, outfielder Adam Hessley, and utility man Christian Bethancourt have been placed on the Phillies' coronavirus injured list, according to Matt Breen of the Philly Inquirer. The team is yet to publicly announce the placements as they aren't required to specify that. But like that's Aaron Nola's kind of a Cy Young
it's
contender.
A big name.
Like that's a big deal.
It's a big
you know
name.
what I'm saying? Like, so here we are where reality is bumping into this right now. And we've got, rule changes in mind and things like that we'll talk about that is interesting with me because I've fought rule changes in the past. I fought the 2 wild card thing in the past, but
you have. Yeah.
Really? You were against that? I kind of was. I was like, it felt superfluous. But that's just baseball. The universal DH. Think about it.
This
if
is
it weren't
health.
for that,
I hate the universal DH.
It wasn't. But think of the 420 show where I'm like, yeah, if it weren't for a fishing trip where nobody had a signal to contact the Phillies or the Pirates how they were going to vote, we'd have had a DH in 1983 in the NL. Like the pitcher minimum thing, like facing 3 batters. I'm playing a video game the other day. I'm like, oh, I'm bringing in a righty for him, a lefty for him, and then back to a righty for that. And in a video game that moves, but in real life, okay, he's got to trot in from the bullpen, then he gets the 8 warm-up pitches. So I'm starting to give in on that one too. There's all this other stuff about baseball and big changes and labor issues we're trying to make. And yet we keep coming back to, and now the players, it's becoming real. It's not just you and I and Chris talking about this in a talk format. Real human beings underneath those hats and jersey numbers are skeptical about if this can even happen or not. And it feels a little bit validating to some of the concerns we had early on.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, like, it's just, to me, just so much bigger than baseball.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, And I've put out on Twitter multiple times, cancel 2020. And I work in sports. You work in sports. We are, we're ancillary impacted on sports. You know what I mean? And as much as I want sports to come back, as much as I don't want to see LeBron get another championship, as much as I want all these things, just cancel it. Like it's at a certain point, it gets bigger than us. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody out there in our audience listening. Like, it's bigger than us. Like, and it's bigger than an athlete.
And I'm trying to keep that in mind, and that's why Andrew Miller's quote sticks so heavily to me about, I don't want to be the guy that ruins this. None of our veteran players like Michaelis and Goldschmidt and him and Dexter Fowler and all these people had a talk about this to their clubhouse about, hey, let's not be the team that ruins this. Because you're right. You're absolutely right, Stephen. There's this from the fan aspect of us who are begging for it. Honestly, we don't matter in some ways in this.
Yeah.
Does Buster Posey, does Andrew Miller feel okay with this? That's who I want to hear from on this. That's who I'm trusting of. It's up to you guys. I'll take whatever you give me because I have a crippling baseball addiction. But whatever you guys are feeling safe with, that's what I'll take and that's what I'll do. And that's something to keep in mind as we go into this potential restart for hockey, for baseball, for whoever. It's about what do these athletes want? What do they trust?
Yep.
That's what I'm going with over any of our fan demands. So that's at least our action. We are at least, if this happens, we're a couple weeks away from maybe talking about baseball games and roster spots. And hopefully things progress along normally when you get through this first round of testing. And then there's a couple weeks of isolation. There is maybe some normalcy ahead of us that then gets us to that point. But for right now, I know us here on the Blitz, Stephen and I, that's not what we're clamoring for. We'll take it.
Yep.
But we're not going to clamor for it. We're not going to beg for it. We're not going to feel like, hey, this has to happen. We're just taking what we get, taking what the defense gives us.
Yeah.
Here at this point.
Exactly.
Right